So thank you all for joining us. This is the pre-application conference for the CDBG DR24 multifamily NOFA. The solicitation ID is NOFA-2026-0002. I am Lindsay Broom. I'm a staff analyst here at the Housing and Community Development Department, and I will be leading this call today, and we'll also have our multifamily on the call as well as our compliance team and our complaints and appeal team. All right, so let's get started. So this specific funding is $52 million in CDBG that's disaster recovery 24 funds. These are related to the Derecho of 2024 and also of Hurricane Beryl. And is, this was issued on Friday the 8th. Conference. We need your quote by May 29th of that is Wednesday, I believe, by 5 p.m. on that day. All questions that you submit will be answered directly to you as well as published in a letter of clarification. So make sure you review the NOFA and you ask those or submit those questions before the date. And then the deadline is June 8th at 5 p.m. All right, so next I'm going to have Daniel Pinto from the multifamily team present on the NOFA overview.
Okay, so we'll talk about loan terms. The awards are going to be structured as non-amortized loans that are subordinated to senior debt. The repayment obligation will occur in the event of a sale or refinancing. We are asking all the loans will be 1% interest and they will be subject to cash flow. There will be a minimum 15-year loan term for LORAs for rehabilitation and a 20-year loan term for the LORA and for new construction. And as always, the LORA will be senior to all of the loans. All right. So there are 6 categories of eligible activities. The first category, rehabilitation. This supports repairs and improvements to existing multifamily properties. If a property was damaged by a recent disaster, the Derecho or Hurricane Beryl, it needs to be a minimum of 8 units. Going back to rehabilitation real quick, it applies to larger existing multifamily properties that are 30 units or more, even if they weren't damaged by the hurricane or Derecho. In regards to new construction, we are looking for multifamily developments with 30 units or more. Demolition, we also cover demolition, but it has to be with rehabilitation or reconstruction efforts. Similarly, with acquisition, we can do any acquisition must be tied to rehabilitation to ensure like long-term affordability. The acquisition of land is critical when it supports the new multifamily developments. For refinancing, loans can be used to refinance existing debt on multifamily properties undergoing rehabilitation. Refinancing is only eligible when it's part of a broader effort to maintain the affordability, and standalone refinancing projects will unfortunately not be permitted. That last category is adaptive reuse. So this allows for rehabilitation of unused public buildings, such as schools or anything that's a public building that's going to be converted into affordable housing. All right, I will run through the threshold items real quick. It has to be located within city limits, which is basically Houston's municipal boundaries. For the census tract and poverty requirement, new construction, the poverty rate cannot exceed 25% unless it's mitigated by a CRA. We are looking for a minimum of 30 units, compliance with HCD flood zone standards, as well as not being debarred or suspended. Applicants must be in good standing with the city, which basically means that there's no delinquent taxes or fees owed to the city. We're looking for site control, additionally, prior experience. So the developers must have completed at least 5 affordable housing developments to demonstrate. So that should be that. The 9th category is funding request limits. So funding request must be at least 1.5 million and cannot exceed 6.5 million or 50% of the total project costs, whichever one's lower. We are also asking for designs to include a generator backup for critical building functions in order to support resident safety during outages. Related to that is the electrical failure plan. Basically, this is providing a clear plan outlining how the property will maintain operations during the event of a power failure. There is a restriction on current awards, so applicants cannot have an active HCD award or land use restrictive agreement with more than 1 year of affordability remaining. And lastly, the application fee is. The next section talks about the scoring criteria. So across these 4 different categories, the first one, organizational experience. This section evaluates the strength and the track record of the development team. We are looking for the organization's overall experience in developing housing projects, real estate experience, financial capacity is a big factor, and the ability to use public funds. For site location, the scoring reflects how well the site supports the long-term success of the residents. We are looking for projects that are properties that are in concerted revitalization areas or areas that reduce concentrations in poverty. Access to local transit is a big factor. And also concentrating on underserved areas that help expand affordable options. The reviews will also look at neighborhood amenities like grocery stores, parks, schools, and the access to those employment centers. The category of project information. So this category evaluates readiness and quality of proposal. So basically, we're looking at how you're reporting the source and uses, project readiness, how quickly you guys are able to mobilize, be shovel ready, housing for special needs, resident services, and boat support. For financial analysis, this portion focuses on the financial feasibility and the long-term viability. We'll take a look at the pro forma analysis, the debt coverage ratio, cost analysis, as well as the leverage and gap analysis to see exactly what amount of money is needed.
Thank you, Dan. One thing I want to say is the application fee needs to be hand delivered to the office at 2100 Travis, the 9th floor. So if you have any questions about that, just let me know. If you need to mail it, you can do that as well, but just make sure you give yourself enough time because we need to receive it by June 8th. Next up, we have our compliance requirements. You know, because this is federally funded, there are quite a few compliance requirements. So we're going to walk through each one of those so you know what you need to have in place should you be awarded. And first we have Lakeisha Tates with the Uniform Relocation Act.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lakeisha Tates, a staff analyst with the Housing Community Development Real Estate Compliance section, and I will be providing the compliance requirements for URA, Davis-Bacon Related Acts, HUD Section 3, and the City of Houston's Minority Women Small Business Enterprise and Pay or Play programs for the 2026 CDBG DR24 Multifamily NOFA Pre-Application Conference. This portion of the presentation, I will discuss the URA requirements. Next slide, please. So the URA sets rules for federal funded projects that may require people or businesses to move because of property acquisition, rehabilitation, demolition, or new construction. So projects may trigger URA requirements when they involve the property acquisition, transferring of the ownership, rehabilitation, new construction, demolition, or conversion of property. Next slide, please. URA does not have a minimum dollar amount requirement. If federal funds are connected to a project, URA requirements may apply regardless of how much funding is used. Next slide. URA stages. So the first stage is the application. This is the beginning of the project review process. During this stage, the project is evaluated to determine whether URA requirements may apply. So we're going to be looking at key activities as reviewing your project scope and funding sources, identifying property acquisition, rehabilitation, demolition, or displacement activities, determining if residents or businesses or tenants may be affected, and collecting required relocation and occupancy information. The second stage is the City Council. During this stage, the project is presented for the official approval and authorization. The third stage is our monitoring stage. This is going to occur throughout the life of the project to ensure ongoing URA compliance. Next slide. Application stage. So during the application stage, documents are collected to determine whether URA requirements apply and to ensure that the project follows federal relocation rules. The requirements for acquisition, these documents are required when project involves purchasing or acquiring your property. A URA assurance letter is going to be required, and it's going to confirm that the project will comply with URA requirements and federal relocation regulations. You have your notice of seller letter. So this is a notice provided to the property owner explaining that the project may use federal funds and outline the owner's rights during the acquisition process. We have our seller's occupancy certification. This document is going to confirm whether the property is occupied and identify who lives or operates at the property. Your initial title commitment is a preliminary title report showing legal ownership of the property and will identify any liens or ownership issues. These documents must be submitted immediately after award notification. Now, documents required for relocation. So you must submit your relocation plan, explaining how displaced persons or businesses will be assisted and relocated into compliance with URA requirements. You're going to submit your relocation budget. That is an estimated budget showing the anticipated relocation costs, including your assistance payments and moving expenses. And then you have your initial rent roll. So that's going to list your current tenants, your occupant units, you're including your occupancy information and your rental amounts. And then you must have a template of your general information notice. This is going to inform your occupants that the project may receive federal funding and explain their rights under the URA. These relocation documents must be submitted within 30 days of the application submission. For projects subject to URA, the following requirements must be followed. So if relocation is part of the project, the budget must include a specific line item to cover relocation costs using federal funds. This ensures that funding is available for required assistance to tenants or occupants. Your general information notice must be prepared, submitted, and approved within 30 days of the project proposal submission. This notice informs the occupants of their potential rights under the URA. Once the application is submitted, your monthly rent rolls, tenant status reports must begin, and these reports track occupancy, tenant changes, and potential relocation impacts. Tenants cannot be relocated until the City Council has formally approved the project. This ensures that all federal and local approvals are in place before any displacement occurs. The relocation administrator must have strong understanding of URA as well as HUD relocation policies. You must be familiar with the HUD Handbook 1378, which provides detailed guidance on how to properly manage relocation activities. This slide is highlighting our key tools and references available to support compliance with URA for federally funded projects. The URA resources page is a central location that helps the staff, developers, and program partners understand and follow federal requirements. The resources can be accessed through the City of Houston Housing Community Development website at houstontx.gov/housing/amenities.html. And we have the houstontx.gov/housing/multifamily.html as well. If you have any questions about URA requirements, relocation procedures, or acquisition compliance related to URA within the City of Houston Housing Community Development Department, you can reach our URA team through the following email at hcdura@houstontx.gov. And for urgent questions or direct assistance, you can contact our team by phone at 832-394-6200 or access our website to retrieve URA policies, forms, and compliance resources. Please note that all parties must adhere to the required no contact period during certain stages of the NOFA process. Next, we have our Davis-Bacon related acts. DBRA is governed by the 24 CFR Parts 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, as well as 9. So DBR purpose is to protect our local workers and communities, ensure contractors are paid fair, locally prevailing wages, and prevent non-local contractors from underbidding by using lower wage rates. Also maintain a fair competition in federal funded construction work. DBRA is also supported by several federal labor laws. We have our Davis-Bacon Act. This requires payments of prevailing wages on federal construction projects. We have the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act. That's going to set our overtime and safety requirements. You have the Copeland Anti-Kickback Act. That's going to prohibit wage kickbacks and ensure workers receive full payment. And then we have the Fair Labor Standard Act, which established the minimum wage and overtime standards. Costs covered by DBRA include our labor costs, which is the prevailing wage requirements, as well as the administrative oversight and monitoring costs. DBRA applies to construction contracts that exceeds $2,000. This is including your lower tier subcontractors, regardless of the contract amount. All the construction related work, including your alterations, your repairs, your decorating, or any work incidental to the project DBRA will apply. The applicable wage decision is provided before the pre-bid meeting so contractors know the required wage rates before submitting bids. The wage rates are locked in on the bid opening date once a general construction contract is executed. This means that the contractor must use those wages for the project. Exceptions may apply. In certain situations, updated wage rates may be required depending on the project delays, contracting timing, and federal guidance. Contractors and subcontractors, including your lower tier subs, must inform workers of the required wage rates for their trade or job classification. Pay workers the correct hourly prevailing wage and require fringe benefits. This is going to help ensure workers receive fair pay based on labor standards. You will be required to submit weekly certified payrolls through our LCP Tracker online system. You'll utilize this system to report workers' classification, hours worked, wages paid, and project information. The LCP Tracker can be accessed using smartphones, tablets, and PC. And before work is started, the contractors must submit your initial compliance document. This is your payroll along with supporting documentation, your payroll deduction authorization forms, proof of payment, timesheets, itemized fringe benefit plans and programs, and more. So DBRA mandated contract documents. So for federally funded construction projects subject to DBRA must include specific labor compliance documents in the construction contract. So we have our Federal Regulations Compliance Pack, which contains the essential federal labor standards provision that includes the HUD Form 4010, and then you must include your general wage determination, often known as the prevailing wage rates. And this should be referenced and included in all of your contracts.
Hello? Miss James, this Miss Wills work with Tawana with
So the DBRA required meetings. So projects subject to DBRA requirements require several important meetings before construction begins to ensure contractors understand federal labor compliance requirements. The pre-bid meeting for competitively procured contracts. This is an ideal and opportunity to give bidding contractors an overview of the current rates and the specification. This is also going to help the contractors understand the labor standard requirements before preparing their bids. The pre-construction meeting, as mandated by 29 CFR Part 5, is required to be conducted before the start of the construction, and the goal is to ensure that all parties understand their responsibilities before work starts. Prior to the initiation of the contract, our designated contract administrator will require all parties involved to participate in an onboarding training session. This helps explain required forms and documentation and ensure contractors are prepared to meet required standards throughout the project. The Department of Labor final rule. So after the contract award, under the DBRA requirements, prevailing wage rates can change after a contract is awarded if the contract is modified. This may happen when additional construction work is added that was not a part of the original scope of work, or if the contract time is extended beyond the original period, or contract options or additional work periods are exercised. When these changes occurs, updated prevailing wage rates may need to be applied to the new or extended work. For questions about prevailing wages and certified payrolls, labor compliance requirements, and contract documentation, you can email our DBRA team at hcddbra@houstontx.gov or visit the Housing Community Development Department's website for compliance resources, forms, guidance documents, and program information at houstontx.gov/housing. Next, we have our Minority Women Small Business Enterprise, known as MWSBE program requirements, which is governed by 2 CFR 85.36. So the MWSBE program compliance requirements is for construction awards under the 2026 CDBG DR24 Multifamily NOFA Pre-Application Conference. The City of Houston now requires all awarded projects to complete a contract-specific analysis to determine the applicable MWSBE participation goals for all solicitations. After the NOFA advertising stage, At the NOFA advertising stage, the project details such as your final scope of work, the development partners, acquisition activities, and construction costs have not been yet finalized. Because of this, an MWSB participation goal cannot be established during the NOFA stage. However, the MWSBE goal will be established after funding is awarded and the project scope and the development structure, the detailed cost estimates are finalized. A contract-specific MWSB participation goal will be assigned and included in the final contract documents. The assigned MWSB participation goal will be contractually required, and it will not exceed the City of Houston's citywide aspiration goal of 34%. Before City Council approval, the selected applicant must submit a compliant MWSB participation plan that demonstrates meeting that determined MWSB participation goal. The applicant must demonstrate compliance with the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity MWSBE requirements, and the applicant must make good faith efforts to include certified MWSBE firms in subcontracting and supplier opportunities. If the prime contractor is certified as an MBE or WBE through the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity, up to 50% of your assigned MWSB participation goal may be counted at the prime level. Participation must comply with the OBO guidelines. And please remember that only firms certified through the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity may be counted toward meeting the assigned MWSB participation goals. For additional information regarding certification requirements and to access the certified vendor directory, you can visit houston.mwdbe.com. Next, we have our Section 3 program requirements, which are governed by 24 CFR Part 75. So the Section 3 program requires that recipients of certain HUD financial assistance to the greatest extent possible provide training, employment, contracting, and other economic opportunities to low and very low income persons, especially recipients of government assistance for housing, particularly those who are recipients of government assistance for housing or residents of the community in which the federal assistance is spent. Effective March 16, 2026, HUD has increased the monetary threshold for the Section 3 projects receiving housing community development financial assistance from $200,000 threshold to the $300,000 threshold. HCD Section 3 policy has been updated as of April 2026 to align with the Section 3 updates. So Section 3 projects that'll be subject to Section 3 requirements will be projects that consist of housing rehabilitation, housing construction, and public construction projects. Section 3 requirements will apply when a project receives more than $300,000 in HUD housing or community development funding. Once that project qualifies as a Section 3 covered project, the Section 3 applies to the entire project, even if only part of the funding comes from HUD programs. So we have our contracting and employment criteria for Section 3. When contracting, where feasible, priority will be given for contracting opportunities that are providing business concerns, economic opportunities to Section 3 workers residing within that metropolitan area, which the priority will be consisting of if your Section 3 business concern provide economic opportunities to Section 3 workers residing in that service area of the neighborhood, which is a 1 mile radius of the project site, or if they are a youth field program participant. For the employee criteria, where feasible, priority for opportunities and training are provided to Section 3 workers with the metropolitan area in the project. The priority will be if the Section 3 worker residing within that service area or the neighborhood is within a 1 mile radius of the project, or if that worker is a youth build participant, priority will be given. So we'll get into the Section 3 definitions. The Section 3 worker criteria has not changed. It remains that to qualify as a Section 3 worker, you want to make sure that the worker's income for the previous or calendar year is below the HUD income limit, or they employed by a Section 3 business, or they are considered a youth build participant. Now, to fit the criteria as a Section 3 target worker, you want to make sure that a Section 3 target worker is for housing, community development, financial assistance projects, and that to qualify as a Section 3 worker, they should be employed by a Section 3 business concern, or they currently fit or when hired at least one of the following categories, and you can document it within the past 5 years. So one of the categories will be living within the service area of the project or being a youth build participant. Now, to qualify for the Section 3 business concern, you want to ensure that you follow one of the criteria. The first one is 51 or more of your business is owned and controlled by a low or very low income persons who meet the HUD income limits. Or the number 2 qualifier is over 75% of the labor hours performed for business over the prior 3 months performed by Section 3 workers, which can be documented. Or the third criteria will be a business with at least 51% owned and controlled by a current public housing resident or residents who currently live in the Section 8 assisting housing. So projects awarded under this NOFA will be required to adhere to Section 3 benchmark goals. And the benchmark goals is a 25% Section 3 worker benchmark, which states that 25% or more of the total labor hours worked must be performed by Section 3 workers, with at least 5% being performed by target Section 3 workers. For Section 3 projects, the recipients are going to be required to follow the data to HUD and provide annual information and reporting. So the reporting will include you're providing the total number of labor hours worked, the total number of labor hours worked by Section 3 workers, as well as the total number of labor hours worked by target Section 3 workers. The labor hours report will include the total number of labor hours worked on a Section 3 project by all workers, including labor hours worked by any subrecipients, contractors, subcontractors that the recipient is required or elects to report. Next slide. So HCD now recognizes Section 3 certifications issued by other government or quasi-government agencies, such as Houston Housing Authority, other local and state certifying agencies, as well as we accept self-certification. So the Housing Community Development Department allows self-certification for your Section 3 business, for your Section 3 workers, and target Section 3 workers. All required forms can be downloaded off the Housing Community Development website under houstontx.gov/housing/section3.html/section3. Or for questions or assistance with the Section 3 requirements, you can email our staff at hcdsection3@houstontx.gov. Just remember that all parties must adhere to the no contact period. Last but not least, we have the City of Houston Pay or Play program requirements. So the City of Houston Pay or Play program is governed by the Executive Order 1 through 7. So the City of Houston Pay or Play covered contracts applies to any professional services, construction, or service type contracts valued at or above $100,000, and for subcontractors valued at or above $200,000. This is including your contingencies, amendments, supplemental terms, and change orders. So the City of Houston Pay or Play covered employees. So the program applies to employees of a covered contractor or subcontractor, including your contract laborers who are over the age of 18, work at least 30 hours per week for that employer with any amount of time under a covered city contract or subcontract. If a pay or play covered contract elects the pay option, PAY, the contractor will contribute $1 per covered employee per regular hour for work performed under the city contract. These funds are deposited into a contractor responsibility fund used to offset costs of providing health care to uninsured people in the Houston and Harris County area. Unfortunately, the employees of the POP covered contractors will not receive the $1 per hour for work performed under the contract. If the POP covered contractor elects the PLAY, PLAY, they will provide health care benefits to covered employees. The healthcare benefits must meet or exceed the City of Houston standard that says the employer will contribute no less than 75% per employee per month toward the total premium cost. And the employee contribution, if any amount, will be no greater than 25% of the monthly premium cost, and this is for single healthcare coverage. For additional information regarding Pay or Play, the city provides Pay or Play related help, POP forms, and all POP related updates on the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity website at www.houstontx.gov/obo/popforms.html. This concludes the compliance requirements for URA, DBRA, HUD Section 3, and the City of Houston MWSB Pay or Play requirements. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Lakeisha. Okay, up next, we have Laura Serrano with our environmental requirements.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Laura Serrano, the Division Manager and presenting for environmental today. Environmental applicability here, it is under 24 CFR Part 58 and is as a result of the use of federal dollars. A comprehensive review of the project scope will establish the necessary level of environmental review, which may involve obtaining HUD's authority to use grant funds approval. Once federal funding is submitted, no physical work or commitment of funds can occur until the environmental clearance is obtained. Please refer to CFR 2458.22. All right, next slide. It is acquisition. To further elaborate on this, an option agreement for acquisition of a proposed site is allowed prior to the receipt of the environmental clearance in order to establish site control, but it must be contingent on the environmental clearance. Exempt activities. These are examples of items that are exempt. You're fine. So we have studies, administrative activities, inspections, purchase of tools, engineering or design, and even if you want to hire your own third-party environmental consultant to prepare the ESA report. Under 24 CFR 58.34B, a recipient does not have to submit a request for release of funds and certification, and no further approval from HUD or state will be needed by the recipient to draw down on funds to carry out exempt activities and projects. However, the responsible entity, which is us, the City of Houston, must document in writing its determination that each activity or project is exempt that meets the conditions specified for such exemption under this section. And let's go to the ESA, Environmental Site Assessment. That report must meet the ASTM standard, and it should not be older than 6 months at the time of the public notice. Environmental review timing. The timing of the environmental review process and the receipt of the AUGF can vary significantly. The variation depends on several factors, including the available ESA reports, mitigation requirements, and the type of construction plan. Completing an environmental assessment can take up to at least 6 months. Sites in the 100 or 500-year floodplains will require additional floodplain notice periods. Sites with contamination and toxic noise and historical mitigation requirements may take longer to review and ensure compliance. The Texas Historical Commission may require additional information to better understand any impacts of the HUD-funded projects on historical resources. And here we are with expediting requests. So under the 24 CFR review, we have 2 ways to get that completed. Number 1, you can hire that outside environmental consultant of your choice as part of those exempt activities to help you prepare that in collaboration with us. Or alternatively, we do all the review ourselves in-house, or you can do a combination of both. And that's usually if you have to expedite your review to meet any certain deadlines that you may have. And in conclusion, in order to get help from us, you can reach us at our hotline, 832-394-6319. And our email is hcdenvironmental@houstontx.gov. We provide technical support. Obviously, we do the environmental reviews and provide any guidance pertaining to specific requirements or questions that you may have. And I know Lindsay will discuss any quiet periods, but thank you for your time.
Great. Thanks, Laura. All right, moving right along. Up next, we have Mike Forenza with the Development Standards and Accessibility.
Good morning. I am Mike Forenza. I will be the project manager on whatever projects we get. I will oversee see that work as well as the accessibility. We are required by HUD to make sure the project meets a specific ADA requirement, which is the ADA 2010 with the 11 exceptions, or 2010 ADA with the 11 exceptions, as well as fair housing. Those are the two that we look for. We require the projects to have their plans reviewed prior to construction by a third-party ADA consultant, and that consultant needs to assure in writing that the plans meet the 2010 ADA as well as fair housing prior to construction. Once construction starts, when it gets to about the mid 50% of construction just prior to sheetrock, we also require that third-party consultant do a on-site inspection and look at everything they can look at that point and write a report, and so we can get those corrected. And then finally, once the project is completed, that third-party consultant, ADA consultant, will come out once again and inspect the project and give us a report that says that it meets all applicable standards. So again, the standard that we are using that you will be required to meet is the 2010 ADA standard with the 11 HUD exceptions. If you have any questions, that you can get that online pretty easy. Also, we do have green building standards. You will need to specify what green building standard you are going to meet, and you will have to have documentation with your plans saying that if it's built correct off the plans, then it will meet this standard.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Up next, we have Chris Robinson with Complaints and Appeals.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen here with you shortly. All right. Well, welcome again, everyone. My name is Chris Robinson. Again, I am the admin manager with Complaints and Appeals. For our team, there are two types of grievances that you can file with our department. So that is a complaint, which is usually about some type of operational function. Maybe there's a processing time issue. Maybe somebody hasn't answered your question timely. Maybe you feel like there's a conflict of interest. You can always raise those concerns at any time with us, and we will generally give you a written response within 15 days. Now, we also have the appeal, which is usually about your program determination. And so usually related to NOFAs, this is what we're talking about. And so we will do an investigation about what has occurred with that determination and then provide a response to you in 30 days, and it will be a written response. Now with NOFAs, it's also 7-day window, so it's a little shorter than our normal appeal process. Now for complaints and appeals, there are two separate types. And so only appeals can be submitted by program participants, whereas complaints can be submitted by any member of the public, whether it's an official, it could be your neighbor, your mother, anybody. And it can also be a program participant or applicant. And I should also say the appeal process is also for applicants as well. If you need to file a complaint or appeal, you will need to provide us with certain information. So it cannot be anonymous. You'll have to provide your first and last name, an address, the name of the project or property or service that you're complaining or appealing about, your phone number, and your preferred contact method, and the reason for the appeal or complaint. And if you so choose, you can also provide us your email. We are happy to correspond with you electronically. All right, for our appeals, there are 3 grounds in which you can actually appeal for a NOFA. So there is a non-receipt of award appeal. You can appeal the amount that you might have been awarded, and you can also appeal responsiveness. So responsiveness typically deals with someone who may not have met threshold, and so you weren't able to proceed through the rest of the application process, or you just did not provide all of the required documentation in order to have a complete application. And so you would normally get a non-responsive letter instead of an award determination letter. And so if you get either of those letters, you can appeal your NOFA application. All right, so there are 4 timeline-based things that you must remember. So you will have 5 days from the date of your award determination letter or from the date on your non-responsiveness letter to submit an appeal. That's 5 business days. You will receive an acknowledgement, typically within 1 business day from our team. And then from that date, you will have 5 calendar days to submit any of your supporting documentation that helps to support your argument as to why you think an award might need to be increased, maybe decreased for whatever reason, or if you believe that you've been responsive, or you were just flat out denied for an award. So you'll submit all of that documentation within 5 calendar days from the date that we acknowledge receipt of your appeal. And then you have, HCD has 7 business days to provide an appeal determination to you all in writing. And so typically it's within 7 business days for NOFAs. For regular appeals, it's 30 days. If by some chance we need to escalate this appeal to get a legal review, it may take a little bit longer than that. And we will notify you of that if there is a delay in the process. If you need to contact us for any particular reason, you can call us on our hotline number. It is our main HCD number, 832-394-6200, and select option 1. You can also email us at hcddcomplaints with an S, appeal, no S, at houstontx.gov. And if you want to come meet with us in person, you can. You can also email us. Our office is, thank you. I'm unmuted now. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. I will put our contact information in the chat if you need it. And if you happen to reach out to us during the no contact period, I will always, or me or someone from my team will refer you back to the NOFA team. So during that no contact period, please reach out to your designated person, which I believe is usually Lindsay. And with that, I say thank you and have a great day.
And yes, I am the contact person. Once we actually already started the no contact. That started the day the NOFA was released, but I will discuss that a few slides later. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is talk you through how to access the NOFA. So if you haven't applied in a while, or if you've never applied for funding, some things may have changed since the last time you were here. So if you visit houstontx.gov/housing/funding.html, you'll see all our funding availabilities, everything that's available at this time. So if you look right here on the screen, there will be a featured NOFA available. If we have a NOFA open, it will be there in the featured NOFA. You can click right there in that little box that says view, and it should take you to the specifics about that NOFA. For example, it has, this particular NOFA that we're looking at right now, the DR24 multifamily, and has all the key dates. And it also has a button that says View NOFA. What has changed is that now our NOFAs and all of our funding opportunities are posted on something called Beacon Bid, and that is a city owned website, or a city managed website, I should say. So all of the, the city's RFPs are there, as well as our NOFAs. So when you click View NOFA, it takes you to the Beacon Bid website. And this, what you see now on the screen, is a screen grab from the Beacon Bid website. Here you will find all the key dates, all the information, as well as all of the information that you need. So if you get here and you click on Get on the Interest List, you'll put in your information, and then it will send you an email. You can also hit Download Package here, which will be all the documents that you need. Just be aware that it's always going to ask you to sign in before, or register before it allows you to download that package. So if you've never done business through Beacon Bid, you'll have to initially put in that information. So like I just said, you click on Get on the Interest List, or if you click on Download Package, it takes you to the same screen, which will be the Register for eBid submission. You put your name, your company, your email address, your phone number, any interest. So when it says interest, that is things that you are interested in outside of this NOFA. So if you're interested in multifamily development, they may be on a drop down. I'm not sure what's on that drop down, but just note that you may be getting emails related to that. So if you don't want a bunch of emails, then don't select interest. But if you are interested in what the city is bidding, then please put that in there. The other thing I'll say is please just make sure that you put an email address that you're going to check, so that when we do our review and we need to contact you, we have the correct email and phone number. After you register with Beacon Bid, they will send you an email, and from that email, you can download the package and you can submit your response. Also, once you're logged in and registered and logged in, you can also submit your response from the website. So you don't need necessarily to have the email, but initially, the first time you log in, you go through the email. You download the package, you submit your response. So I wanted to talk about the application workbook. So for those of you who have applied for multifamily funds through HCD before, I know this is, you're familiar with the workbook, but for those who are not, I just want to take a moment. So one of the documents that you will download is called an application workbook. That's probably, after you read through the NOFA, this is the first thing that you're going to want to look at, because on the first tab, it has instructions. The instructions walk you through how to apply and all the documents you're going to need. You can see there's a checklist, and each thing there needs to be, you need to collect that item before you submit your response, because you're going to have to submit documentation for most items that are listed there. The application workbook also has other tabs: applicant info, you can see this down at the bottom of the screen, developer info, site info, project information, resiliency, resources, or sources, and then uses, and then cost allocation chart, and then it's kind of cut off, but it says unit mix. So this application workbook is fillable. So as you complete all the information in each tab, it fills this checklist. And so be sure that you're completing all the information on all the tabs. And if you have a question about that you're reaching out to me to talk you through, how to do this if you've never done it before. And so by the end of this process, you should have all the documents that you need to now go into Beacon Bid and upload. So you collect the documents based on the checklist of the application workbook, and then you go into Beacon Bid and you put that information or upload that information into Beacon Bid. Your contact information, as I stated, you need to have current phone number and email so that I can reach you if we need to follow up. And then the threshold requirements. So the threshold requirements are hard rules that you must meet in order to have your application scored. So these are the things that are required in order for your application to even be scored. It's very important that you read these ahead of time and make sure that you are eligible. And if you have any questions, that you reach out regarding your eligibility. And then for each question, there will be usually, some kind of documentation that we ask you to submit that shows, yes, yes, I am eligible based on this documentation. In addition to threshold requirements, we also have what we call application documents. Some of these application documents are used for underwriting, and other application documents are used for scoring, and some documents are used for both. So it's very important that you upload all the documents that we ask for if they are applicable, because it could affect your score and it could affect your underwriting. So just make sure you go through this ahead of time. Do not wait till the last minute to make sure you understand all the requirements, and then if you don't, that you've asked. And then finally, we have required forms that are just standard forms we require for all applicants. Some tips is start early, which I've already discussed. Don't wait until the last minute. There's inevitably something that goes wrong that last day. Review your final submission. With Beacon Bid, you can go back in. So you can start the application, you can get out of the application, you can go back in, which makes it very easy to kind of work as you are going along. Our previous system did not allow that. You had to do it all at once, which was a little inconvenient. So it's definitely an improvement there. Submit everything in either Excel, like the application workbook, or PDF. Preference is easier. On our evaluator and things stuff, and also just it creates kind of a safety there that is not in a Word and that someone can edit it, so can easily edit it. So in the NOFA solicitation document, there is a list of scoring criteria. If I were you, I would be going through each criteria and seeing what I feel my score is on that, and making sure that I have the documentation to support that score, because the evaluators are just looking at only what you supply. So what you supply to us is what they are seeing, and that is how they base their score. So make sure that everything you want to say and to show your project and how valuable you think it is, please make sure you're including it. Make sure you have all those threshold documents that are required that let me know that you have the qualifications to make it through threshold. For threshold, we usually do have a cure period where if you're missing something or I'm unsure about some of the documentation, that I reach back out to you and allow you to cure that. It's usually anywhere from 2 to 3 business days. Also be clear and concise. Just try to say what you need to say as concisely as you can. And also look at the letters of clarification. So anytime that you submit a question to us or to me, and I receive the answer, I give it to you directly, but I also put it in the letter of clarification. So it's very important that you read all the letters of clarification, which will be posted to Beacon Bid before you submit, because those are part of the solicitation. So you are held accountable to anything that was included in the letter of clarification. It's very important that you read those. Yes, and so if you have any questions, I'll put my email in the chat, but it's HCD NOA at Houston. As we start talking about the no contact period, that's important because from the day that the NOFA is published until the day that the award recommendations are made and they go to City Council, so it's quite a long time, you should be directing any questions directly to me, HCD_NOFA at HoustonTX.gov. As you can see on the screen, there's no gifts, favors of anything of value that may be offered to a city official, and all the communication should go through the NOFA staff, which is me. If you have other projects that you were working with the city, it is perfectly fine to continue talking to your relationship manager or your point of contact about any other project. This is specifically a no contact period for this project. And if you do send a question to, say, one of our multifamily team members, they're just going to forward it to me. And that is just so that there's never a question of unfair advantage for any of the applicants. Oh, there's the email right there. And so also this doesn't prevent you from making a public statement at City Council when that award recommendation is placed on the agenda. So yeah, I believe that is everything. I wanted to open it up. I know we've gone over time, so I apologize for that. I am going to look in the chat, but also if anyone wants to raise their hand and ask questions, now would be a good time to do that. Okay, I do see some hands raised. Is this Nirosha?
Yes, Nyrisha.
Yes. What is your question?
Yes, so I noticed, I'm not sure which slide it was, but I wanted to clarify. So we have to have at least 5 prior projects in the affordable housing field that we've previously done, or our team together has previously done up to 5. I thought I saw something that said that if you previously or currently have an award with the city, you cannot apply for this award. Was that correct?
That is correct. Did somebody from the multifamily team want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, if you previously, what we don't want to do is combine our disaster funding with our home partnership funding. So we didn't want to mix those two combination of fundings. And then also we're looking at if you have received funding from us and your property still has lower restrictions on it, that's something else that we'll be inclined not to probably want to move forward to the next step as well.
Okay, I didn't hear that. You said what kind of
Lower restrictions. So yeah,
Oh,
part of the agreement here is to, once you receive the award of funding from the city, there's going to be a number of units that'll have to be restricted to low moderate income. And so, yeah, there'll be a number of years on that. For rehab is 15, for a new construction is 20 years. So if you still have, if you still have a lower on that property, we're not gonna be able to move forward with the project.
thank you. And may I please have your name or contact so that if I have any more questions, I can contact you in regards to multifamily specifically?
So yeah, sure. You can have, so specifically for this current NOFA, it's kind of pencils down and hands down for the multifamily division, and then all questions will have to go through Lindsay. But if it's just from a general, just a high level general standpoint on how the process works, yeah, I'll get that to you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, I think we have another question. Eva?
Yes. I'm trying to get on the house buying program. Cause what this is, the way you take classes and stuff.
No, it's not. This is
Okay.
this is for the multifamily development, so it's actually for the developers of housing, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But if you have, Eva,
Yeah,
I just put an email in the chat. I don't know if you can see that, but if you send your questions to that email, even if it's not related to this particular NOFA, I can get those questions answered for you.
the HDC NOFA at Houston, Texas.gov, was that what you're picking up?
Yes,
Okay.
HCD, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. And then we have Rosalind.
Hi, yeah. The gentleman mentioned having to do a green building standard, or having a green building standard. Is there any specific one, like LEED or any particular one, or how's that determined?
Yeah, there's no, you don't, and Lindsay, keep me straight here, but you can choose which one. I'm not leaning towards one particular one over another, but which one, kind of works with your budget and funding. But I think there's 3 or 4 or 5 choices there, but whichever one kind of works with your budget will, I think, is acceptable for the division.
Okay, and that's outlined in the NOFA package, right?
Yeah, you can find those choices in the NOFA package, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, we have VS.
Yes, I have a question. If you're doing a developer, but you don't have 5 projects, what kind of projects are you guys looking into? What's your criteria for looking into the past projects?
Looking into the past projects, I think what I was envisioning is just receipt, if you've worked on 5 separate deals before, just to give us a list of those deals, where they're located, how many units, if they're seniors, if there's senior deals, family deals, when they were completed and who's managing it. We just wanted to see that kind of information if you had it.
Okay. Because I think one of the criteria is having a minimum of 30 units for this. So what you're looking at, doesn't matter if it's 30 or more, but as long as it's like 10, 20, 50.
Oh, on the previous deals? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, on the previous deals you've done, yeah, if you can just kind of give us a high level of where they are, how many, what kind, senior families, we can use that as a part of our scoring process.
Okay, another quick question would be for developer. Let's say if somebody were to come in and develop it, are they able to get an exit out of it, or do they have to hold and manage the project themselves?
No, you can hire a third party property manager to manage it. I know some developers are fully integrated where they have their own team in-house, right? But some developers hire, I don't want to cherry pick a name because I don't want to steer, but some developers hire a third party to manage it. That's fine.
Okay, so by doing this, the project has to be on the developer's book of business. They cannot stabilize it and look for an exit out of this.
You will, the exit will be after the LORA restrictions, land use restriction agreement has expired. That'll be your time to really, separate from the city at that point.
Oh, okay. And those expectations will be found on the website.
You should have it. You should have some language and verbiage in the NOFA as well.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll look through it. If I can't find anything, I'll just send out an email on that. But whatever email is addressed in the chat box.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I had a question pertaining to past projects. Do they all have to be multifamily, or could like a duplex or quad count?
I was looking for a multifamily scenario, like your standard garden style scenario. But you're saying like a duplex, like
duplex or quad, or if you built a couple 8s.
Yeah, one building with like two different entry doors kind of scenario is what you're.
Yes. Yeah.
They're all on the same. I'm not scattered. I'm not looking for scattered site, but they're all on the same footprint. They're all on the same footprint.
Oh, so for this development or past development?
For going forward, I need it to be all on the same footprint.
Okay, so then fine. Let's go with that. So let's say I had a lot. I wanted to, instead of a garden style 3-story, it makes more sense and cheaper to build duplexes and some quads, but we still get to about 32 units. Would that qualify for the multifamily grant?
We could take a first blush to look at it, the total package, and it's all competitive. I mean, you're competing with, I mean, it's 130 some people on the call. So yeah, we'll take a look at it. And there's some threshold items you got to get through, and then it's all going to be competitively scored against other deals. But we'll be willing to look at it.
Now, and the reason I'm asking this, I don't want to prolong, is because there's a site we already have, and it's sort of ready, but we have some issues with HOA getting it to be multifamily. The restrictions that they have on it. So we can build sort of like these sort of livable places type areas where we could still do duplexes and townhomes. We will miss out on a couple of units. We're not gonna have 40 something. We'll still get the 30 minimum, but we'll be a townhome and duplex sort of like a configuration.
Yeah, no, I think let us we are willing to look at it, but again, no slam dunks. But I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
We're willing to consider it.
All right. Well, oh no, but I want to know for sure before I engage you. It's gonna cost me money.
Oh no, I
Right?
know. That's life of a developer, right? That's
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of
I
it.
mean, I want to know if it's
Yeah,
has a
I
decent shot
can't.
at getting funded.
But I
Even
know
I could
I can't.
follow all the other regulations, but I just
Yeah.
don't want to get into a fight with the HOA.
Uh-huh.
I've already have the architect design something to what we have, for the multifamily piece, and it would work too.
Sure.
But the fight with the HOA may last how long? Nobody knows. But I know
Yeah.
for sure we could do, those sort of like garden, livable places type that we have the MUR type thing. So
Mhm.
multi-unit residential styles. That's kind of what we're thinking of doing for this particular lot. But if it works in this system, then I would love to. I can send it to you and you let us know. And if you can do it, then we'll go full steam ahead.
Yeah, no, I can't. So at this point, since the NOFA's
Okay.
already out, I got strict procurement rules, and you'll have to
Okay.
run all your after today scenarios through
Okay.
Lindsay.
All
But I
right. I can
can't.
send it to Lindsay then. Okay.
Yeah. But again, I can't guarantee because you sent an application in that we're going to fund you.
No,
You
no,
know,
no. I'm not
just
saying
yeah.
that. It's just that I
Okay.
want to meet the minimum requirement of 30 units, but it's not going to be in a three-story sort of like, but it'll be in the same footprint. If
Yeah, that's
footprint means the
fine.
same lot,
That's
but if
fine.
footprint
We're
means the
willing.
same sort of like
Correct.
foundation, no,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is that what you
Right.
meant by footprint? Same lot, not like
No,
scattered all over the place.
to me, the same footprint is on the same tract of land.
Same
That's
track of land.
what
All
I
right, that's
mean. Yeah.
perfect then.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, we have Nataki.
Hi, how are you? I would like to know if we are engaging with this set of funding, you all have other funding that is coming out under that same community development funding or so or so. So if we apply for this, does that mean we cannot engage with any of those other contracts? Like, do we have to choose which one we want to apply for?
Which
I
which
think I
ones?
hit.
Which other ones are you talking about? Yeah.
So when we found out about this community block grant, through, I think it's the community development plan or something of that nature when the funding first dropped, but there was this funding, there was funding for, like rapid rehousing, for homeless prevention and a few other options. And I know those ones those NOFAs haven't come out yet. So I'm curious if we apply for this, NOFA, does that mean that we cannot engage with the other ones that are due to come out? Or because somewhere in that set, I seen that somewhere in that community plan, it said that we can only engage with up to 2 contracts at a time. But I heard on the call earlier that if we have other funding from you all, that we couldn't apply for this one. So I just would like clarity on that.
You want to take this one, Lisa? So, we were trying to explain if there was other funding from this particular division from multifamily, like in another funding that we have as home partnership, that we wanted to keep it separate. But I think I hear you asking, if there's some other funding from another NOFA, let's say from like our public services division.
Correct.
Yeah, are you okay? Yeah, we're fine with you applying to this NOFA and then you're applying to my colleagues NOFA on a separate, because this funding is for acquisition and hard costs of the building itself. And public services, as you well know, is for different type of services. So we're okay with that. What you're
Okay,
applying, it's not a guarantee that, right, but we're okay with you applying.
Okay, got it. Just wanted to, so for clarity purposes, it's okay to apply for both, and there's a possibility if we get accepted for both sets or approved for both sets of funding, that's not a conflict of interest.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next we have VS again.
So this funding that we're applying for, this is for a new project. This is not for an existing project that's half built or 10% completion or any kind of completion on the previous project. Is that correct?
This is for new construction, rehab scenarios, or reconstruct. But I can't come in, if you've already started something, I can't come in the middle of it. I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I'm asking. So
Okay.
basically, so if we're applying, then it should be 0% completion on that project.
Yeah, something you haven't started yet.
Okay, so it can't be like 5-10% into it. Then all right, I need funding. Then I need to go here and do it. It's nothing like that. So
Right,
this is
no,
like
yeah.
a bridge
Yeah,
funding or anything. Okay, so this is completely for a new project. Completely. Okay.
Yeah, so I look at it as gap filler. If you've already, you'll be on a new deal, you're working with your senior lender and other funds of source of funding. And then you say, oh man, but I got all my other funding on this other part of the budget, but I need this another piece of funding that I need to have filled, and then you apply to us to see if that, if your project moves through or not. But yeah, you cannot have start any construction on it, because all these deals have to go through an environmental review and you have to get environmental clearance to start.
Yeah, no, the only reason I asked is there might be several confusion amongst the attendees for this kind of information. So.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right, cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. We're going to take one more question. That's Shamsa.
Thank you. My question is just about the previous experience. I'm wondering if the affordable housing projects serving 60% AMI families, so lowercase affordable, not tax credit funded, do they count as experience?
Oh, if it's deals that weren't affordable multifamily tax credit deals?
Correct. Like they are market rate affordable to those at the 60% AMI range, but not tax credit funded.
Lindsay, I think I would be willing to look at that as well. If you've done other multifamily deals and all of them wasn't affordable, but they were market rate deals, we would consider and we want to take a look at that application.
Yeah, are you saying they were affordable, but they weren't tax credit projects, right?
Correct. That is what I'm saying. Yep, they are
okay.
affordable for 60% AMI families, and we maintain that. But they were not tax credit funded.
Okay, well that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, then you could use that as part of your 5 affordable developments. You just need to provide, what I envision, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, is what I like to see is a spreadsheet with all the developments and the the completion date, how many units it was, what percent they were affordable, that type of information. And then we usually do some fact checking on our end, on the back end. So that's how I do threshold review.
Of course. Okay, thank you. And just to follow up there, single family single family affordable rental or for sale developments, do those count as well?
Right,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
requesting a track record with multifamily deals.
Specifically. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks, Chance.
Yeah. So, thank you, Shamsa. So we've gone quite a bit over time, so we're going to wrap it up. But I do know there's some lingering questions in the chat. So what I'll do after the call is I will collect all those questions. I'll get with the multifamily team, and I'll get you your answers, and then I will publish those in a letter of clarification. And when I upload those to Beacon Bid, if you're registered, you get a notification that says, you know, they've the city has posted a new document. So that's how we'll handle the remaining questions. And then also, if you have questions up until May 29th, please send those to that email that I dropped in the chat. And we're pretty good about getting back to you like quickly with those answers. So yeah, I know a lot of information. So I appreciate everyone joining us today. And hopefully we did clear some things up. And again, if there's anything remaining, then please shoot me an email.